The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is one of my favorite video games of all time in many respects. It's this very engrossing, deep, and interesting world space with very strange and supernatural, like an alien world. This creepy alien wilderness set in the world of the Elder Scrolls. The world of Mundus and Brada Brada, something about lore. But very crucially, Morrowind is not the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. It is this weird ashen wasteland, and in the Isle of Vardenfell, where the game takes place, it just is so bonkers and wacky. I mean, there is something very occult about Morrowind, with aesthetics actually ranging from Arrakis to Oddworld, with while dealing with some really heady, like deep concepts about like the soul of the world and mind over matter and like sorcery and betrayal and all sorts of weird metaphysical and very hyper personal stuff. It's quite something, really. I mean, really, it's witchcraft and godhood and what it means to be, well, human, you might say. Although Morrowind is populated by dark elves, but I suppose you might say the nature of the soul, of consciousness, of being. But yeah, I mean, Morrowind is really very strongly like resembles Dune a bit in like setting, really. But because it is such a hyper difficult video game with these very crunchy rules and very dangerous places, you can just sort of wander into if you're not careful. It almost feels to me more engrossing, more like interesting than Dune itself ever was for me. And it has a lot more to do with like the sort of magical mysticism side of things, and you can play some really interesting characters in that world. The fact that they make you choose, like who you need to side with, and that's a permanent choice, right? And the fact that you kind of you're rewarded in a way for exploring because the world is so deadly and difficult. It kind of makes you interested in what's out there, and it kind of rewards you. You feel rewarded just by getting answers to some of the weird questions that you might have, like about the weird vampire cult, etc. But there is that whole wheelhouse of like that very Dune wheelhouse of prophecy, and how Morrowind is land of the dark elves. But they are not your typical dark elves. They are a cursed people. They are these really strange. It's like distantly a sort of Middle Eastern and somewhat even like Asian inspired culture. But you see, the writers are able to make the dark elven culture seem much more and more alien as the story goes on, and you see how this strange culture has developed. How these dark elves were once a proud and powerful race of golden skinned super elves who worshipped the three good Daedra, who are these like powerful demonic. It's an Elder Scrolls thing, but primarily of those three, they worshipped Azura, who is the goddess of twilight, and who cursed them to look as they are for their hideous betrayal of her trust. Because at the Battle of Red Mountain, where the Dark Elves clashed with their rivals, the Dwemer, who sort of seem like dwarves, but they're not dwarves. It's an Elder Scrolls thing. They discovered the heart of a god buried beneath the effing mountain, which is not what you want to find generally, but apparently their prophet and hero, he like realized the great power and danger of this heart, and he wanted it to be sealed away. He didn't want to use its power to to become a god himself. But his advisors totally did, and spoiler alert, that didn't end well for him. Um, but now it's like uh, years and years later, hundreds of years later, and those three advisors are gods, and they've sort of supplanted, they've taken up control over Morrowind, and you are this person, this poor prisoner who you might or might not be the reincarnation of the now dead prophet guy, Nerevar, and you might actually be you might or might not be this person, right? You could be the chosen one, but you could not be. You do have dreams and visions, but it's unclear whether or not you're just crazy, really. And people, you really have to convince people that you are the mystical magical chosen one. It's not like a hey, I can shout Vusroda, and therefore I'm the Dragonborn, and then everyone just goes along with it. No, you have to break your back trying to get people, trying to fulfill the prophecy, um, which is really fun, and it's a very interesting story that manifests itself in that very interesting way. Um, and and there's like an undead evil lich vampire king guy, who was a trusted ally of the dead prophet Nerevar, and he has returned from the dead. This evil ally, right? He's maybe the greatest villain in a video game I've encountered, at least one of the greatest, because this villainous character, Dagoth Ur, is a smooth operator. He is very charismatic cult leader, and he was your friend in a past life. But now he's come back that has these twisted desires. He wants to defend his homeland, but he's going about it in a crazy way, infecting people with this horrific sickness, which makes you immortal and very powerful and capable, but also turns you into Cthulhu-looking MFer. So it's all kind of weird and twisted, and Dagoth Ur has become sort of a mad god himself. Dagoth Ur is dead, and in some respects you might call him a ghost, but he is actually really weirder than that. He has literally convinced himself that he is alive, and the universe is just sort of going along with it. It's this sort of transcendental, unreal. There's even suggestions that he might almost be a hallucination, or like a tulpa himself. That he's this boogeyman that people have created, he and the universe has decided that, yeah, he's real then, which is crazy stuff, and I could go on and on, but I don't have a lot of time right now, so I will say that, good lord, Morrowind would be the greatest game ever if 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 it looked at least as good as Skyrim, and if it played like Skyrim, or maybe even better than Skyrim. Like a more polished game. But all you have to do is take that effed up story and world, that very dark, brutal setting, and you can put it in a shiny new system, and it would be, oh, so good. Yeah, I mean, with all these amazing, crazy characters, some of my favorite characters in gaming have come from this game alone. From the great mad wizard Devath Fear to the last remaining member of the Dwemer, right? Who's walking around in a mechanical spider, to like Vivek, who is this weird dual nature, split down the middle, almost like two personalities. He's like a Loki character, and all these great, amazing characters, and this great story, and yet Morrowind does look bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat that part of it. It doesn't look good, but Morrowind is quite fun and very interesting. It has inspired my writing in so many ways, ways that you cannot even imagine. So yeah, bye.